Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhimsha Itanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text 24. Sankalpa prabhavan kamam tyaktva sarvana sheshataha anasavindriya gramam yam yam yasamantataha. Translation. We'll read Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Read together. Translation. Six 24.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of false ego, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
Text 25. Shanai Shanai Raparamid Ujya Dhritigrihi Taya Atmasangstam Marakutva Kinchit api chintaya. Translation. Gradually, step by step,
with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Ito nishanati manas chanchalamas Tastato niyam yarita atmanyeva vashanayat. From whatever and wherever
Mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature. One must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
Shantamanasam yenam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shanta rajasam brahmabhutam akalmasham. The yogi whose mind is
Fixed on me verily attains the highest happiness. By virtue of his identity with Brahman, he is liberated. His mind is peaceful, his passions are quieted, and he is freed from sin.
Yunjam evam saradmanam yogi bhigatakalmashaha sukhim brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham afnute. Studying the self.
Being freed from all material contamination, the yogi achieves the highest perfectional stage of happiness, in touch with the supreme consciousness.
Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutam chatmani ikshate yoga dharma savatra samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me
in all beings, and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere.
no mam pashati sarvatra mayi drishti tasyaham pranashyami sachamena pranashati. Translation. For one who sees me Sarvabhutastam yomam vajatyekatamastisaha bhavata vartamanopi yogi mai vartate. The yogi who knows that I am the super soul within all creatures
Are one, worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances.
Atmalpamam yena yupasarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham bhavayakam yogi pranamomataha. He is a perfect yogi
who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings, both in their happiness and distress. O Arjuna,
Arjuna Vacha Yo Yam Yogastaya Prokta Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham Pashyami Chanchalata Sitim Shtiram. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana,
the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
And text 34. Chanchalam himana Krishna Amati Balavadridam Syaham Nigraham Manye Ayu Ivisudhukaram. For the mind is restless,
disturbing, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it is, it seems to me, more difficult than controlling the wind.
So, back to text 24. So I'll read the translation and purport.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of false ego, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, the process of Bhakti Yoga can be executed successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread. And at last, Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga and Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah, actually, Prabhupada explain this verse in terms of Bhakti Yoga. Someone may object, why not in terms of Sila Yoga? Why Bhakti Yoga? Because this chapter, all these chapters are explaining Bhakti Yoga. That of all yogis, he who always abides in me, with great faith and determination, worshiping me, is the highest of all, the topmost. So naturally, the Bhakti Yogi should be considered because that's the whole point of the Bhagavad Gita is to bring him to Bhakti Yoga. Arjuna, he got to hear about different types of yoga, but Krishna finalized the whole treatise in the 18th chapter, 66 verse 4. He says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So that's devotional service, it's Bhakti Yoga. It's very natural and it's expected that a commentator, someone who's a mentor and teacher, he's going to bring his students to the important point, not just for the sake of plurality. He discusses all different topics. The time is short, and you can imagine how time was short on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. There's only a short time remaining before the time when the battle had to begin. Krishna had to speak a lot of important things Arjuna needed to know. Because Arjuna was not planning on fighting. He had already given up. He put aside his bow on Jiva. And he said, I'm not fighting. He already made up his mind. But Krishna wanted to change his mind. And so he had to speak very succinctly. Had to speak very pointedly. Each word counted, each second counted. If you were to not get the point across soon enough, Arjuna might have said, yeah, I can't stand being in this pressure. I can't stand being in this dilemma. I don't care what happens. I don't care who wins. I'm not fighting. So it was a very critical time. No time for superfluous words. He had to get the point across. And so each word of Bhagavad Gita is very important. Even if he repeats a word or repeats a phrase or a theme, it shouldn't be taken that he's getting flustered, Krishna's being nervous or something. No, he's speaking exactly what he needs to speak to convince Arjuna and all other living beings. All the other human beings have the same opportunity that Arjuna has. As Krishna is sitting on the chariot of Arjuna, Krishna's sitting in our hearts. We could say the heart is a chariot. He's sitting in the heart, he's driving the chariot. So it's very similar. Everyone who reads Bhagavad Gita has the opportunity to become a pure devotee. Krishna says, Bhaktosu me sakha chaiti rahasyam hidud uttamam. I'm explaining this supreme secret of yoga to you because you're my very dear friend, as well as my devotee. He's qualified. That's the qualification. And it doesn't mean that one has to be a great scholar, or he has to be a king, or born of a certain family or a certain nation, or there's no such statements made, but Krishna does say, Mami Partabhya Pashutya, Yepi Papayona, Striyo Vaishas Tashudas, Yepi Janti Karam. Everyone can become a pure devotee, whether one is born in a lower family or a higher family, doesn't matter. Family doesn't matter, nation doesn't matter. Everyone can. In the Bhagavatam also says, Kirata Hunanda, Pulinda Pokasha, Abhir Shumba Yavanaka Sadayaha, Yanyach Papa Yarapashash, Yanti Chasmai Prohibition. So many different groups and races are described. They can all become Krishna conscious. So no one should feel that, even if he says, I'm in a hurry, I don't have time. You couldn't be in more of a hurry than Arjuna. You only had a few minutes. He had to understand the whole thing. Krishna took the sincerity of Arjuna. Isham satyayuktanam vajitam pritipurvakam dami bhuri yogam tam enamamapiyamsate. Those who are constantly devoted, worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to. That's a statement that goes for everyone. So everyone should be confident. If I study Bhagavad Gita wholeheartedly, if I approach it wholeheartedly, and I accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I accept that basis, and I try to follow the instructions, try to understand. Why will Krishna not help me? He says he'll help. He'll give transcendental knowledge to anyone who tries. And especially, even more than that, if I'm trying to understand the explanation of the purports through His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he's already proven himself quite capable of being understood quite well by thousands and thousands of persons, Westerners, who were not familiar with this at all, and whose former actions were not in accord with Vedic principles at all. But yet, they became the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedanta. So everyone can, nobody's disqualified. But we have to make that effort. Krishna will help you. Ye tamam prapajate tamstataiva pajamyam amvartmanavartante manusha partasam. Any questions on these points?
You mentioned that the heart is a chariot. I never heard that
Like
that.
a chariot.
Like a chariot.
It's a seat. We often say the heart is the seat of the living entity, and the super soul is situated in the heart. And yeah, I think it's appropriate to say it's like a heart, like a chariot. I'm sure it's been said before. That's where the decisions are made. Important decisions are made in the heart. That's the location of the residence, sitting place of the soul and the super soul.
So sometimes we feel that maybe we have actually made some mistakes in Krishna consciousness, like we didn't follow through, or we didn't follow the instruction as we have understood it should be performed. So there's this part when we were reading in the purport that Prabhupada says we should be confident that if we practice rigidly, so what if we have determined, oh, actually I'm deviating in this way, or I'm deviating in this way. So how do we go from there? How does this kind of success, Prabhupada says, success is guaranteed if we practice rigidly. But what if we, within our own practice, we've identified, I'm not practicing rigidly. I'm
So try to improve. Try your best and Krishna will help you. Can't necessarily accomplish everything immediately. Our habits are quite the opposite. We have to keep trying to improve every day. Every day is another chance. Try to perform some service, try to improve on all aspects. Improve in understanding, improve in my humility, improve in renunciation, improve in service. There's so many things to improve. No limit. Every day I can try to improve. I can pray more. I can try to keep things clean. I can try to be less egotistic and control my senses more careful to bring my senses under control. So many things we can do.
So, what does improvement look like?
What does what?
What does this improvement look like?
Improvement. You understand the word improvement, you know what that means. So how do we improve? Say, he was saying he noticed he wasn't so rigid in following that particular principle. So he tries to become more rigid. It's like a coach. If you're playing some sport and the coach says, okay, everyone, I want you to run 3 miles now. So some of the players, they go out and run 3 miles. And some, maybe 2. Some may cut corners. Some may joke around while they're doing it. But if one wants to be as proficient in his field as possible, then he has to follow strictly instructions of the teacher. So the teacher says, you're not doing this part right. You're like this. And then he says, try it. And if you try, it's good. Then he wants you to keep doing it. He says, okay, keep doing this. Now I want you to do this more every day. Do that. That's what it means. We're here to be trained. The spiritual master is training us how to perform devotional service. He's taking us from the position of not knowing about devotional service. We don't know anything about devotional service. What do we know? We didn't even know if God existed. Some of us thought he did, some thought he didn't, some weren't sure. He did exist, we didn't know whether he was a person or something else. So we didn't know. We didn't know about devotional service. We had a little beginning inkling, some rudimentary idea. God is great. God is the Father. We should praise him. It's good. That's the beginning. Then how to go further. Teachers giving us so many nice advices. Do we follow that? The verse says, for one who has implicit faith, Sanskrit, Yasadeve Parabhaktir, Itadeve Tatagaro. Tasyaite yadita karta mahatmana. Prakate Mahaman. Yes, one has implicit faith in both the Guru and the Krishna. All the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. So that's what it looks like. You want to follow their instructions implicitly. Any other?
Hare Krishna. So the example I think is given that this process is like a scientific experiment, in that if it is performed correctly, there will be a certain result. So what should one look for to know that they have got that result?
Well, that's also up to Krishna. It's not something that one dictates. Not that someone does something saying, I was told that if I chant this sincerely, that this and this will happen. And so I've chanted sincerely, and it's not happening. What's wrong? No, because the Krishna factor is still there. Everything depends on him. He has to be, man proposes, God disposes. He may say, I'd like to get this result. That's entirely up to Krishna. Therefore, the devotee prays, Lord Chaitanya prayed, whether the Lord makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, whether he whatever he does, he's completely free to do anything and everything. But without conditions, still he's my worshipful Lord. That's unconditional service. Not that service requires a certain result. According to my estimation, what has to happen? I should try to see how that is happening. I should try my best to understand how that's happening, how what the scriptures say is correct. But I can't accuse God of being neglectful because he didn't give me the result. That's why Prabhupada in the purport said, you have to learn patience. One should not be impatient. And I have to wait too long for the result. I may have to give it up. No, that's not a good start. Because the teacher's not going to agree with that. If you go in and say, okay, teacher, I'm here to give you some time and do your best, teach me. But if you don't get it done quick enough, I'm going elsewhere. I'm going to say, well, all right.
What is the full meaning of the of the jiva being transcendent to material reality? Like, obviously, we have to do activities in devotional service to get love of God. So it doesn't mean we just sit there and do nothing. And, I use my senses and my hand, all the things in Krishna service. So what does it mean to be transcendent of the material reality?
Material reality? Material is not reality. Material is illusion. So
I'm sorry. Does that, when we say illusion, does that mean like you think something is this and really it is this other thing? Or does that mean it doesn't have any actual existence? Like it's a mirage?
No, the first one. I think it's this, but it's not. I think it's a rope. I think it's a snake, but it's a rope. I'm an illusion.
If I see material objects and I see them because I'm under the impression that they are something other than Brahman, does Krishna see those material objects?
Krishna knows everything. So not that he can understand what illusion you're under, or I'm under. He knows all. He knows all. Maya is working in his direction. Maya Dakshini Prakriti Suyate Sacharaction. Adrianana Konte Jagati Parivati. And under his direction, she can give release. She can release the living entity, just like if the president gives it's called travesty, when he gives freedom to the criminals and sentenced to die, and he gives them freedom. He has that power. So Krishna has the power to free one from Maya immediately. And he says that as they surrender to me, I'll reward them accordingly, very quickly, very easily. One can easily cross beyond it by surrendering to him.
My question is, when we deviate, we spoke about recently about how when we follow, there's no karma. But say there's some deviation in the instructions of the spiritual master. At that moment, are we actually accruing karma?
Well, if the person is, generally speaking, he's following, then the inadvertent shortcomings are taken as part of the training process. Not that it's like a child, little babies learning to walk. Everyone knows in the beginning they don't walk very well. So he's trying to get up and he keeps falling. But everyone keeps encouraging him. They don't say, oh, I mean, some parents do. They start off negatively discouraging the child, perhaps from the beginning. And maybe that's not a very good way to train children. But generally, you would give them encouragement. He's trying to walk. He's trying to do the right thing. So encourage him. And they overlook the fault when the child starts to speak and he says some gibberish. They don't say, that was gibberish. Speak properly, pronounce it properly. Well, they overlook that. That's why he's trying. So Krishna, spiritual master, they're accepting. That's why we offer everything to Krishna through the spiritual master, through the chain of disciplic succession. Because on our own, if we offer the thing directly, won't be a very, very appropriate offering. We can't expect to approach Krishna directly. We don't have the capabilities. We're not qualified. But if we offer something to our spiritual master, And if he offers it, then because of his advancement, his exceptional service, it's like those of us, now we're connected to Srila Prabhupada. Our Krishna is accepting our service is, we consider, primarily because the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That Prabhupada, such an advanced devotee, that Krishna accepts whatever he asks. Like Radharani. Prabhupada gives the example of Radharani. When she sees some newcomer at the beginning, she goes to Krishna and says, just see this new devotee. They're cleaning so nicely, better devotee than me. When she says that to Krishna, when she says, he's much better devotee than me, Krishna, please accept him. And Krishna must accept.
We hear, like in the Bhagavatam with the four Kumars, they just got one whiff of the Tulsi leaf offered to the Lord. And
what?
they just got one whiff of the Tulsi leaves offered to the Lord. And it was enough to instantly revive their Krishna consciousness. But like, you know, if I get a whiff of that, then it doesn't do much for me, seemingly. So, yeah, I was just wondering about that.
Take two. You can have more. There's quite a lot. We can keep trying. We don't know how long it's going to take. The devotee doesn't put any specific date. He's not timing the Lord. The Lord's not on trial. He's not giving orders. The devotee is humbly begging. He's begging, please. Prabhupada signed his letter, his Yas Puja offering, most insignificant beggar. That's how he considers himself. So these are moods in humility, which is always good to remember. If we find ourselves getting carried away with how good we are, we should take a few moments and reflect that maybe we're not as good as we thought. Maybe we have to wait a little longer. Maybe we're not ready to be given so much respect now. Because we sometimes get upset if people don't respect us the way that we think they should. We can get quite indignant. How is it possible? Don't they understand? Then we may have to think for a minute, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm thinking I'm more advanced than I am. So maybe a little humility. I need some more hydration of humility. Drink something. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, how should one properly respond to someone who's coming to you or just for example, a devotee with so much fault finding and just telling them they need to change these things and how they feel things need to be changed or they changed or they need to do things better to their, I don't know, they're doing.
They're telling you how to do things. What they do? How should we deal with people who are telling us how to improve all the time? the question? I'll try to answer quickly. But be patient. At the same time, we can also, if it's our duty to teach them, then we have to teach them that it's our duty to teach them, and their duty is to learn. If it's not our duty to teach them, then maybe find someone else that's more senior that they may be more willing to take advice from. Those are a few suggestions. You can carry on.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Anybody else? Okay. So maybe just one reflection. This patience aspect came up a lot, so we can try to focus on that. The 6 qualities that Srila Prabhupada mentions from the Nectar of Instruction. Very powerful. Prabhupada stressed that. Actually, I was hearing from Giraj Maharaj that even before the book came out, Prabhupada was trying to teach them that. And especially when they were going through so many troubles in Bombay, Juhu Beach, trying to set up the temple and having so many austerities. So, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.